All right, everyone. Welcome to Teachings and Education. And I'm just going to enlarge our presentation for today. Okay. So the topic is positive behavior intervention and support systems. And this is something that's also been widely adopted by a number of different school districts. I think California has a lot. Not so many here in New Jersey, but it's definitely growing. Let's say. So first off, what we have here, I usually have like a video that's a quick overview. This is a quick overview. It's about 3 or 4 minutes, I think, and just gives you a basic idea of positive behavior intervention and supports. So I'm gonna post a link up above so you can click on it. But let's get going. Sorry, sorry. Oh, there you go. All right. So overview of PBIS. And PBIS is going to be used as the acronym for Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. So overall, this is a research-based three-tier framework to improve overall quality of schools. So this is it's a big picture approach, right? You want to improve the overall quality. We're talking about social. We're talking about academic. We're talking about school climate. A lot of different things here. So it's a big goal. PBIS systems are designed to help increase positive student behaviors using a data-driven systematic approach. And a behavior is the main focus here. Now, the overall goal of PBIS is to improve student outcomes behaviorally, academically, socially, and emotionally. So that's a big package right there. Data is a key component. Data is to be collected, coordinated, and communicated within all relevant personnel. Multiple sources of data are necessary as PBIS systems rely on data to make informed decisions. The idea is to implement a program where all students have an opportunity to be successful. Okay? So we're looking to improve students academically, socially, and it's data driven. Now, why is it important? Again, school staff are on the same page. Behavior problems occur in all schools, so even the best schools can get something out of it. I'd be amazed to find a classroom without any behavior problems. Even those AP honor classes, every once in a while you'll get a little something there. But let's keep going. So, benefits of PBIS system. So, why are PBIS systems important to educators? Well, excellent schools have in place organized plans to tackle a constant stream of student behavior problems, right? Behavior problems occur more and more and more. When schools opt into a PBIS system, staff are on the same page and there's a unified plan. Okay, so you want to have an organized plan where everybody's on the same page to attack, to sort of mitigate student behavior problems. Now, one of the biggest known truths in education is that behavior problems occur in all schools. Okay, kids will be kids, but the average degree of behavior problem is going to vary. Okay, some schools a little bit more serious behavior problems, and other schools not as serious. Ignoring behavior problems may lead to bullying events, disruption of learning, and perhaps more serious problems. So the need for PBIS is real. Too often, educational and classroom decisions are based on a whim. One of the major strengths of incorporating a PBIS system is the fact that discipline decisions are based on actual classroom data and school data. The behavior problems are approached using an objective measure with a focus on data collection methods. Again, right? So data is our big key, is a big point here. Okay. PBIS systems help to contribute to the overall positive school climate. School climate affects teacher turnover, engagement. A school climate contributes to student success, teacher turnover, morale. It's an integral part of the school community. A school climate is something that needs a lot of attention. Needs more attention than it gets, let's say. Sorry here. I'll provide a link to this video later on. I'm sorry. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we create this school-wide PBIS. And here's a little infographic. It says brief overview here. So you want to establish a leadership team. teachers, school administrators, paraprofessionals, whatever. Develop school-wide rules and expectations. Be sure these rules are implemented by all teachers. Evaluation and assessment. Now, every school has its own rule book, but just having a rule book and a policy and expecting teachers to just understand it's a little bit tricky here. So, when we create a school-wide PBIS and you establish this leadership team to implement this PBIS, you want to do little tweaks, and it's important to get everybody's opinion. Okay, so you want to have representatives of the groups, but we're going to get into that. And remember, you want to evaluate and assess for effectiveness. So, creating a school-wide PBIS begins with the establishment of the leadership team. Staff, teachers, students, administrators, right? Creation of the team is an important component for staff buy-in. You want to have everybody buy into it. Here's a link to a guide. Okay, if you click this link, it'll provide a guide on implementation of creating a leadership team. Teachers on the leadership team create a plan through, and this is not just everybody. Create a plan through a collaborative approach which gives a voice to representatives of different groups. Okay, again, here's another link. Okay, so it's for planning. This is a planning template. Okay, I don't want to, it'll take me out if I click this. It'll get everything messed up here. So the plan should be, and this little link here, it'll show a nice little template. It's like, group one, goal, action, kind of like action planning. The plan should be based on a shared vision for the future of the school. So a shared vision means everybody's on together and there's one thing, one vision. Because changing student behaviors is such a difficult task, positive behavior supports require everybody to take part in it. This isn't going to be easy. Okay, doing a PBIS isn't going to be easy. You really need everybody to work. The plan must contain school-wide rules and expectations. Okay, that's a must, obviously. The rules and expectations should be transparent and widely understood by students, staff, parents, etc. Okay. Like I said, a lot of school policies, they have rules and stuff like this, but you want to tweak it and you want to really add those classroom rules, and maybe you want to add things, because I guarantee you any school policy with rules, there's always more you can do. You can think about laws, the way individuals are allowed, or the way individuals are able to circumvent the law. Students will be able to sort of circumvent the school rules. So just having expectations are not enough. Teachers, they all must enforce the rules. Teachers need to hold the students accountable. That's another thing that doesn't happen much. Administrators too, they don't hold they also don't hold students accountable. Teachers should hold students accountable at the classroom level. And here's a link for a classroom environment template, just to help you make a positive environment template. Okay, the leadership team is required to also assess the PBIS system for its effectiveness. Is it producing positive results, right? Is there an increase in desired student behavior, along with an increase in positive outcomes? Evaluation blueprint. So here's a link to another resource, okay, for an evaluation blueprint. And if you're a school district, you can create your own. So evaluation blueprints may be used to measure success. Okay, and I think this is like a Google Sheets form, a Google Sheet, with the different cells and things like that. So that was how you kind of get creating the system. Now let's take a look at it. It's a 3-tier approach. Okay, tier 1 is mainly at the classroom level to addressing student behavior. And listen, when you address student behavior, that also affects social, emotional, academic. So they're all related here. So classroom level, small group, and then tier 3 would be the individual level, right? So, all right, so tier 1. We're on tier 1 right now. Most schools will incorporate a 3-tier system. Overall, this approach to PBIS, it's very similar to RTI, response to intervention. I did a previous one on that. Very, very similar. So let's take a look at interventions from Tier 1. Tier 1 aims to ensure effective classroom instruction. Schools look to ensure that students are receiving proper instruction and teachers are using effective classroom management techniques. Okay. Tier 1 supports are implemented universally throughout the school as it targets all students. Okay, all students are included. Around 80% of the student population are satisfied within Tier 1. Okay, so meaning if if you have here effective classroom management techniques and effective classroom instruction, 80% of the students are going to be fine. The overall goal is to create a positive school culture. Okay, that's the overall goal of this tier. And more Tier 1 instruction will be covered later in teaching strategies. We have specific teaching strategies for Tier 1. So when we talk about effective instruction, we'll go over some effective teaching strategies. But remember, 80% will be solved there. However, there's another 20%. Tier 1 intervention at the classroom level includes the following positive behavior components. Okay, rules clearly understood, development of classroom procedures, positive praise, engaging lesson activities, structured environment, remediation of behaviors. So that was Tier 1. Now we're going to Tier 2. It is estimated that about 5 to 15% of the student population is satisfied at Tier 2. Tier 2 is targeted support. We'll focus on students that aren't as successful in Tier 1. So if students aren't making it in Tier 1, then in Tier 2 they get a look at. Tier 2 is inclusive and includes supports present in Tier 1. So if a student is receiving supports, behavior supports in Tier 2, they're still getting the supports in Tier 1, meaning effective classroom instruction and things like that. So Tier 2 also includes Tier 1. Now, intervention at Tier 2. Students that need further behavior supports are often worked with in small groups. These students are identified through data collection processes for academics and behavior. Small groups work on learning social skills, conflict resolution, and behavior management. Those are the three main ones, right? So many times students aren't behaving right, but this is something they need: social skills, conflict resolution, behavior management. These small groups are tracked by administrators. Okay, so administrators should be keeping an eye on them, looking at their detentions, looking at their write-ups, looking at suspensions. Intervention at Tier 2, again, right? We're still in Tier 2. There's an added focus on student attendance and investigations into motivations for absences. God forbid, I mean, we don't know what could be going on with some of these students if they're not showing up to class, what's going on at home, or are they going outside? Who knows? In this tier, schools now begin to take a deeper look at academic progress, where Tier 1 emphasized behavior. So Tier 1 was really, like we said, right? It was behavior and just instruction. But now you're taking a look at attendance and academic progress. Tier 3, the last one. Okay, this is for your most at-risk students. Tier 3 intervention is also inclusive. So Tier 3 includes Tier 1 and Tier 2. And it's an intensive support for the students most in need. Individualized behavioral assessments and intervention are required. These are for your most difficult students, behavior-wise. And as I'm doing this, most of you right now could probably think of one student that's really tough or something like that, and that's the one. Because I don't want to say the worst student. I don't like talking like that. So intervention in Tier 3. Students that are not successful at Tier 2 level get support at the individual level. Tier 3 students have serious and ongoing behavior problems. These students' needs are met through mentoring, FBAs. FBAs are functional behavioral assessments, antecedent behavior, consequence charts. They're called ABC charts. These students might need counseling services, much more. So these are serious interventions here: mentoring, FBAs, ABC charts, all of this, right? So this is for the most severe behavior problems. So intervention may include these. These are some examples that you might find as well. Integration of replacement behaviors, helping the student learn replacement behaviors. Various types of behavioral reinforcements. Applied behavior analysis strategies. Behavior tracking with point systems. Classroom environment adaptations. Wraparound services are really important. If all else fails, wraparound service involves everybody. So that's the idea of it takes a village to raise a child. So if you would like to learn more about any of these things, the videos are all here. Here's the functional behavioral assessment ABC chart, behavior intervention plan. I won't be able to post all links, but you can find them on the channel. Okay, I'm sorry. Here we go. All right, wraparound services. Oh, getting a little stuck here. Okay, wraparound services are essentially your last resorts. Okay, well, here it is. They bring together meaningful people in the child's life to help a student succeed. Again, right? If all else fails, you want to use wraparound services. And here's also a video. So, that might, maybe you want to include the student's football coach, or you want to include their cousin that's really close with them, or an uncle, or the parents, or maybe one teacher they had from 5th grade, and now the student's in 8th grade, but that student bonds with the 5th grade teacher. You want to take all the meaningful people in this child's life and get together and develop a plan. And wraparound service plans, they use this not just in education. This is really used in like addiction and things like that, and think like rehab and stuff. But it's the idea. Obviously not for the students, but who knows? Students also have problems with that area as well. So sorry, this is a short video. I'm trying to keep going. Okay, so let's talk about behavior reinforcement strategies. So how to reinforce behaviors. So the process is positive reinforcement. It's not a negative reinforcement here, right? So we're this process, the one we're focusing on now. So there's a difference between the two. So overall, you want to identify the target behavior of the student, follow up the desired target behavior with a written, physical, or verbal response, right? So and then you want to give positive reinforcements immediately afterwards. So again, this is positive reinforcement, not negative. Negative reinforcement is something different. So when the student does something, a desired behavior that you want, first you have to pick out that behavior was, like maybe raising their hand. Once they complete that behavior, you want to immediately give a positive reinforcement. Say, good job. It could be written, physical, verbal. And you don't want to wait too long. The quicker the better. So it sort of becomes ingrained in the student. So, right, PBIS systems often use positive behavior reinforcement as an approach. Positive reinforcement occurs when a reward is provided to an individual for good behaviors. Negative reinforcement, on the other hand, is the removal of a bad consequence for having a good behavior. So, like that's kind of like a student's in timeout, and they're being quiet and doing what they're told, and then you remove them from timeout. That's like a negative reinforcement. That's something else. So the first step to positive reinforcement is to identify the target behavior, which I had mentioned. The desired behavior should replace so it's important when choosing the desired behavior to find something that will replace a consistently disruptive or inappropriate behavior. So, like, back to the raising hand. The raising hand is a good one because maybe the student's constantly shouting out and yelling, and then you're replacing the shouting out with the raising their hand. So, like, that's a good example. The target behavior is usually something. Oh yeah, the one I use. But yeah, it's usually something like raising their hand, being on task, showing up on time. If the student performs the target behavior, followed up with a written, physical, or a positive response, and reinforcing the positive behavior can come in the form of giving the students a thumbs up. Okay, it doesn't have to, you don't always want to single out the student. Maybe you do just want to give a thumbs up. I said here maybe a head nod, like good job. Teachers may want to write a little individual note for the student. There's more examples coming, but you get the idea. It's recommended to give positive reinforcements immediately after the student performs the appropriate behavior. The longer you wait to give a positive reinforcement for a behavior, the less effective it's going to be. And that's backed up by research. As a warning, giving positive reinforcements when they are not warranted will decrease the effectiveness. You'll also come off as a fraud if you keep, constantly telling the student, good job, when they're not doing something correct. I mean, the student's going to know, they're going to say to themselves, what is this guy doing here? So only, give it when it's warranted. You have to, be authentic. Too often, teachers reinforce bad behaviors. Okay, we don't think we do that, but we do. Most of the time, teachers are doing this unknowingly. For example, a student may continually interrupt a teacher and others. Teacher then responds by answering the student's question or telling that student they're making great points. Then you're reinforcing the bad behavior. right? The student broke the rule by shouting out, or interrupting somebody else, and you're like, "Oh, great point. You're doing no, no, don't do that." Okay, reinforcing bad behaviors. The child that frequently interrupts needs to learn to wait their turn to talk and stop interrupting. So some examples that you can use for reinforcements. A bunch here, tokens, points are. We'll get to all of these here. So here are some specific examples of positive behavior reinforcements. So rewarding students with a higher participation grade is a great example. Student behavior is part of most teachers' grade books. A class participation is part of most teachers' grade books, so make student behavior integrate into it. You can provide additional sports and activity time is very popular. Maybe a student loves to go to the gym and play basketball, whatever. So if the student's doing really good, you can provide extra time for that. And again, this is not meant for, tier 1. This is like your tier 3, most at-risk student, your biggest behavior problems. Maybe tier 2. Here are some specifics. Here are some more examples. Free computer time, free internet time. You got to be careful with that, but it is a good reward. I like Student of the Month certificates. They're great for students that have come a long way and they've improved their behavior. I used to do that a while ago, but I probably should get back to doing that. Here's some more example. Teachers may allow students to paint, work on art projects. I always think art is very therapeutic. Tools and instruments can be provided. It's very relaxing for students. And let's not forget that positive behavior rewards are meant only for desired behaviors. Don't give out these rewards if the students don't earn them. It has to be earned. Token systems are commonly used to deliver extrinsic rewards. Students earn points or tokens for things like doing assignments, being on tasks, having appropriate behavior. And for example, if they earn enough positivity points or tokens, they're allowed to purchase items off an approved list. And there's a lot of controversy to this. Some schools and teachers say, students shouldn't get rewarded for just doing what they're supposed to do. But this is for the students with the behavior problem, the at-risk students. Okay. Some students have behavior disabilities because of the environment they're raised in, and you have to take that into account. And you kind of have to think outside the box here. These things can work. Token rewards that students may purchase include the following: toys, games, stuffed animals, homework passes, positive phone calls home, snacks, clothing, increase their grades. The token systems are often tiered as well, such as students are essentially given a rank for each tier. Companies like Uber offers tiered membership programs where rewards are provided through different levels: platinum, gold, and silver. I use Uber and I think I'm like in probably the silver or something, or the gold. Definitely not the platinum, but you get bonus points for using it and getting a good review from Uber. Because you get reviews as a driver, or you get reviews as a guest. So, this is found. They use this in a number of different things. I think Khan Academy does something like this. So students in tier 2 may have free time and privilege, while tier 1 has only rewards. And when I say tier 1, I mean of the token reward system. So maybe tier 2 gets free time and tier 1 only gets a couple. Maybe they get like the stuffed animal or something. Okay, so we're talking about rewards here. So positive. This is just like a review too. Token systems, tiers, fun. These are different types of rewards you might want to give. Positive reinforcements. They should be fun. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you want the students to enjoy these rewards. Now, classroom level teacher recommendations. So, teaching strategy. So this goes back to kind of tier 1, right? So how should you as a teacher, what type of classroom management and instructional strategies should you be using? So you got to have classroom procedures in place. Rules got to be clearly stated, engaging work, and you want to have a positive environment. So the classroom teacher is the most important person to a successful PBIS system. Everything revolves around the classroom teachers. The teachers must have a viable classroom management practices. So that means they know what they're doing. Rules should be posted somewhere in the classroom, usually in front, visible to see. These rules should be clearly stated and in a positive form for their students. This is a longer video I did. I know I said some of them were short. I don't know how long this one was, but it's like 15 minutes. This is an in-depth classroom management video. I will provide the link here. And you know, this is if you're struggling. You might want to see this. If you have a good sense of classroom management, don't worry about it. All right. So again, teaching strategies. More than just rules, students should know how should know the procedures for how to go to the bathroom, participate in discussion, transition between activities, and more. Classroom procedures should be routinely reinforced and practiced. Examples of classroom procedures put in place include procedures for test taking, bathroom attendance. So teachers, you should have a procedure for, you know, taking the test, such as, you know, sit up straight, eyes on your own paper, raise your hand if you have a question, no looking over your shoulder, you know, things like that. Procedures are used to create an organized, safe, and controlled classroom. So here are some examples you might want to consider. You know, procedures for distributing materials, speaking in class, taking tests, group activities, bathroom. You want to have a procedure for collecting homework. Finishing early, this is an important one. If students finish early, they're going to act up. So have a procedure, something for them to do, like they get up and they go to the worksheet bin and grab a worksheet, or they start tomorrow's homework on Google Classroom, something like that. You know, well-planned and engaging lessons decrease student behavior problems. That's well known. Teachers should fully plan their lessons. If not, students may wind up having nothing to do and naturally act out. To avoid student boredom, add variety to lesson plans. Now, let's not forget how important it is for students to have. Oh, sorry. Now, let's not forget how important it is for students to have engaging work. That is work that is challenging yet achievable. Engaging work will keep students on task and properly behaving. So overall, these classroom management strategies can be used in a variety of school settings. So you want to have engaging work. If students have engaging work, challenging and achievable, it's going to definitely help out. It'll help you as a classroom teacher avoid behavior problems. So what kind of instruction? Well-planned, engaging lessons, right? Variety, clear objectives. I like hands-on projects. You might consider inquiry-based learning. Interest-based activities, that's providing student choice. Differentiated instruction is needed. And, you know, funny. If you really want to engage students, be funny. Tell some jokes. You know, don't get out of hand, but, you know, it definitely goes a long way. And you got to plan for these lessons. So there are some criticisms of PBIS systems. So, you know, I got to present both sides here. Teachers have expressed the following criticisms of just positive rewards in general. A student should not get rewarded for simply doing what they're supposed to do. This refers to the idea of positive reinforcement. Reward systems do not prepare students for life in the real world. And teachers would like to have more freedom over their classroom instruction. I think it's worded a little wrong. So teachers like to have more freedom over their classroom instruction. And here's a nice little here's a nice little wide view of positive behavior intervention and supports. So this is and there's your works cited. All right, so I want to say that's the end of the presentation. I want to say thank you for your time, and I will see you at the next one.